Zone. What does this absolutely macro signal have to do with Bitcoin, and how could it affect Bitcoin this upcoming week? We saw something very similar here back at the end of 2018, and is this possible that we are seeing something similar repeat now? And as we all know, the correlation between the stock market and Bitcoin is evident. This is absolutely critical. The fact that Bitcoin found the bottom and actually bounced first on both occasions over the last 2 years. What does it mean if something like this is actually taking shape? The first week of November is going to be a game changer and 100% will determine the momentum of the market for the rest of 2020. And guys, will this pattern continue to play out for Bitcoin? And if so, when and where is the breakout target? And Bitcoin continues to get rejected off of this upward sloping ascending channel line. What could this mean for Bitcoin? Guys, this chart is urgent and we have to tell you what this could mean for the market. Welcome back, men, women, children, and scammers in the comments. Guys, we have so much to be jumping and jiving into today's webisode, and in fact, this is a chart you are not going to want to miss, and how it could affect Bitcoin's price over the next 2 weeks specifically are going to be the main topics of this video, guys. As we all know, Bitcoin has been trading sideways. The price has squinched and squished into a very, very, very tight range. As myself and many people agree that we're gonna see a culmination, a climax, an eruption, an absolute blast off within the next 2 weeks, guys. Especially the first week of November, I think is gonna be explosive. We have fundamental, once every 4 years election cycle coming up here in the US. And no doubt this is one of the most tumultuous and impactful elections that we may have had in a very long time, guys. So we are all extremely interested to see how that plays out and how this economy and how this stock market, in short, actually reacts here, guys. Because we all, myself and you all included, have a lot of money on the line, most likely if you're invested in these markets. And this fundamental news that will be absolutely unleashed to the world very, 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 very shortly over the next 2 weeks is taking precedence, and it's extremely interesting and eye-opening. So we're going to be jumping into these charts, and as well, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications so you get updated when we upload new videos like this. And as well, guys, if you want to win these ledgers or equivalent in Bitcoin if you are out of the country, make sure as always to smash your comment below and make sure you're subscribed. If we can hit 1,000 likes in this zone, then we will be auctioning off this ledger or BTC in the next zone. But as well, you guys, for everybody in T4, we actually just updated 7 new videos in here having to do with technical analysis for the most part. However, there is also a free tutorial for trading. So if you're interested in that, definitely make sure to check out this free video below. There's a preview. It is trading tutorial updated, and all of the other material that's updated has updated after the names. You can see many in this section have been updated, but we still have about like 15 more videos that we want to update. But as well, if you are interested in joining T4, make sure to put in code BILLIONS at checkout to get 10% off. Huge. So guys, this is going to be the primary focus of this video, and this is highly speculative, so I want to say this first. And as all of you should know by now, I am extremely, extremely bullish, but this is something that I 100% am going to be a little bit concerned about for at least the next 3 weeks, or until the first week of November, right? So the time, it's coming down to crunch time. We only have a few weeks left. I'm extremely excited. Something I do want to point out here is you can see this on the weekly, but also I have it on the 2 weekly here. It's just what seems to be regular bearish divergence, which we had something similar on these charts back at the end of 2018. It actually took about 10 months to shape up, but we had this top here around 2,800 on the SPX, and then we had a similar top around 29, almost like a double top, but not really. But we had the RSI diverging to the downside, and we did see a pretty big move to the downside because of that, right? From about almost 3,000 points all the way down to about 23. And I remember that, okay? I remember the stocks doing that. And similarly, we had Bitcoin do the same thing. And in fact, this is the area right here. Bitcoin actually dropped first. And you actually see the SPX on this red line here. And this illustrates it nicely as well. But Bitcoin actually dumped a few weeks before the SPX found its bottom. And you see the SPX kind of bottomed around the middle of December 2018. Bitcoin just about a week or two prior to that. But same thing happened here. Even with the massive crash in March that affected everything, Bitcoin actually bottomed slightly before the SPX did. The SPX went down a little bit a few more days after that. So Bitcoin actually dumped on these two occasions first, or at least found its bottom first. And now what I'm looking at on these charts, because these are both of those dips, the one we're talking about in the middle of December 2018, and then the one back in the middle of March 2020. Now, interestingly here, we do seem to, I mean, to me, this looks like bearish divergence, right? We have a high here of about 33.70, and then we have a higher high of about 35 right here, but we have the RSI on the same trend that it was back in 2018, guys. And obviously the reason I'm pointing this out, even though this is not Bitcoin, obviously the SPX is important. And obviously because of those two charts we just showed you, they are correlated. Now, because this looks simply enough to be bearish divergence on this longer time frame, does that mean that the SPX is about to dump massively and so is Bitcoin? Absolutely not. That doesn't guarantee that at all. But I'm just saying, I think this is important to point out. And honestly, for the comment, if you guys want to leave on this video, I would 100% love for people to respond to this and what they think about this. I don't necessarily think this is something new. I believe people have probably talked about it before, but I'm really just curious what you guys think. You also have opposing opinions because of this massive drop we had back in March. There are some professionals in the space that have said that we actually have enough room over the next 2 years to keep running to the upside. So again, that's something to keep in mind as well. Just because we see two patterns on this chart that look very identical, does that mean that it's 100% just about to have a dump? No, absolutely not. But I think it's 100% important to be bringing this up in a video, and especially just something to talk about, because this could be a huge deal. This could be absolutely nothing, or this could be a huge deal. So I'm just curious also to know what you guys think. What do you think is more likely? And if you have any opposing evidence or supporting evidence for this pattern to play out in a bearish way. And as well, guys, with Bitcoin's chart, we're still consolidating, still failing to get above this upward sloping line of about 11,005 at this point. Breaking that, I think we could see a resurgence up to about 11.8, but again, that's a huge area. 11.8 is an area to watch there. As you can see on this chart, we're still trading within, on this hourly chart, this very, very, very small time frame here. Basically still only trading between 11,005 and 11,003. And so guys, with all of that being said, we still have to highlight the fact that the last 3 times we had the 21-day go above the 50-day moving average, going back to the very beginning of 2020, we've had that happen 3 times this year, and every single time Bitcoin has pumped at least 30% within about a week or 2 weeks after each one of these 3 crosses that I have highlighted in like a blue ellipse right here. All 3 of these crosses, and we just had one of those crosses. So is it also possible that we're going to pump again? Guys, I wish things were a little more straightforward, but honestly, the fact that this once every 4-year election, but really this election is insanely heated in terms of both sides. If you're in the US, and I'm sure people even outside the US here, I'm sure a lot about what's going on this side of the world. But this is a big deal, and unfortunately, we just have to wait, I think, for the next few weeks to get a really big confirmation, and especially because we're not getting a ton of TA on these charts with Bitcoin until we see a move, right? I would love to see this move play out one way or the other. I do think it actually is more likely that we could see a nice, very strong pump to the upside is what I'm leaning more towards, but I am a little conflicted, as I said, because of this data that we're seeing with the SPX. Now, guys, ultimately, Bitcoin has to decouple from the SPX eventually, right? Whether that's, 3 months from now or whether it's like 5 years from now. The point is Bitcoin has to decouple from basically everything else, especially traditional stock markets. Otherwise, what is the point? And then we see with this pattern here with Bitcoin, it looks as though this pattern, the apex is around the 25th of October, but more so, it looks as though we could be breaking out more similar to this range, right? I think we're finally, within the next day or two, getting in the range where I think we could actually break out of this pattern, if this in fact is a pattern. I'll be honest, this is not one of the prettiest patterns that I've seen, and I'm not 100% confident in it, but it's the only thing that I'm seeing shaping up now. This is on the 4 hour. If we go to the 1 hour, you can see even how more ambiguous this pattern is. You can see just on this 1 hour chart, this doesn't really look like much of a pattern, but on the 4 hour, as we said, it does have a little more structure to it, barring these 2 little premature pumpulations on the chart. Wow, so guys, I'm really curious to know what you guys think. If we are going to have another downside move, just imagine this scenario. If Bitcoin would actually, let's say the SPX does dump and maybe Bitcoin even comes down to this level, how many people would be freaking out to see Bitcoin dump $3,500 to $8,000 to maybe even retest this trend line, or even go slightly below the 200 to go even below this 200 day or something crazy like that? People would be panicking. People would be absolutely flipping out again. I don't think that's likely, but just imagine that scenario. And as well, we're getting our weekly close in just a few hours here. So again, this is absolutely key. I mean, this is the story of the last few months, really, trading between the 786 and the golden pocket, which is represented by these two blue lines here. This is just really key, but most importantly, bouncing off that 21 week, guys. This might end up being crunch time, but I definitely think that by the very latest, the first week of November, we are going to see a lot of sure tell signs about Bitcoin's trajectory. Massive, guys. So if you're interested in trading and you want to support the channel, and only if you have experience trading, make sure to sign up with our link to Bybit below, up to $390 additional bonuses for trading. And as well, guys, if you're in T4, make sure to check out a lot of these updated videos. I think they are much higher quality. A lot of these did need updated. And in fact, as you can see, a lot of these on the bottom, actually, we're in the process of updating too, but like the first 6 or 7 here updated. And as well, make sure to check out the free trading tutorial here